All right. I think we're recording. Yes. All right. Welcome in, my beautiful friends. I hope all is well with you guys. We're going to be talking about this Aquarius new moon. Woof. Man, things are speeding up, are they not? They're back and forth, up and down. Um, and I'm sure everybody is feeling this. So where I am in the world, okay, I'm on the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time. So for me, you'll have to adjust it for where you are in the world. Um, if you're looking at UTC Universal Time, it's at like 12:13, or I think it's 12:13 p.m. But we're in East Coast, which is 5 hours difference, 5 hours ahead, or excuse me, 5 hours behind. And so for me, it's at 7:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I'm in the East Coast, so again, adjust that for where you are in the world. But this is happening on the 17th. It's not just a new moon; it's also an eclipse, solar eclipse. So you'll see that that is also brought into the picture here, and it is at the last degrees of Aquarius. I tell ya, man, it just feels like everything is speeding up. I'm sure everybody else is feeling this as well. So this eclipse is happening at the very end of Aquarius. That's really important because late degree eclipses are not about beginnings. We're not using this new moon to set our intentions here. They feel more at the late degrees like this, they feel more like inevitabilities. And so something that's been forming for a long time, most likely very quietly in the background, is going to reach a point where it can't remain unresolved. And I don't know about you, but I would like to see some things resolved, especially the things that have come out as of late. Um, Things that I think a lot of us have known, we've been aware of, but wanting to see some justice for sure. Maybe we'll see that. So, um, Aquarius is very future oriented, but this eclipse doesn't feel futuristic in a clean or exciting way for sure. It feels more like pressure. It's almost like the present moment is no longer sufficient to hold what's coming next. And there's often a sense around eclipses like this that the old timeline is still technically intact, but it's not believable anymore. People, all of us, could feel really unsettled without being able to put our finger on why. Decisions might feel heavier. Certain paths might start to feel kind of impossible to continue. A lot of us are already feeling that. I'm preaching to the choir over here. And it can be even if nothing really feels wrong on the surface. That's how eclipses work. They don't really break things dramatically at first. They're gonna drain them of their relevance, and we'll make changes because of that. So, um, just want to make a point that this eclipse doesn't. It's not here to rush you. It's going to more create this repositioning, okay, within us. So let's move on here and let's talk about why this new moon matters. It's the timing of this eclipse and this new moon that is really interesting for me personally as I've been studying on this. Um, Solar eclipses remove visibility. And so that means that like clarity doesn't necessarily come first. Consequence does. People want to know, what should I do? But eclipses aren't really about action. They are there to orient us. And so something internal shifts before the external world really rearranges to match that, right? So this is one of those moments where the future is going to start feeling like it's pulling on you before you understand where it's actually leading you to. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to when that comes up for you. That's going to be really important to ground you. It's going to feel really destabilizing, especially for those of us who rely on clarity and plans and we want certainty in our life, right? So, what matters here is recognizing that you're not meant to figure this out immediately. Okay. You're meant to really notice what feels less negotiable now for you, where compromise is maybe costing us too much, even like where staying put might require some shrinking of us. We're not going to be able to stay there. And so that's that eclipse working though. So it's actually a beautiful thing. but not comfortable for sure. All right, so I know that most of you know what a solar eclipse is, but I just wanted to cover this for those of you that maybe, so what is it really? So this is of course when the moon eclipses the sun. It's like the symbolic light of identity, our direction, even like purpose. It can kind of go temporarily offline, okay? And that doesn't mean that you necessarily lose yourself, but it's going to be uh, in a way, it's like where these usual reference points really stop working for us, and so that's why eclipse seasons really can feel disorienting. Our mind is looking for answers, but the answers aren't really accessible yet. And instead, there's like a subtle internal reorganization that's really happening, and like old motivations that we once had could really dissolve for us. Old goals that maybe we were trying to achieve might lose the urgency that we had around them. So this isn't going to be a time where we're trying to force some kind of clarity in our lives, and any clarity that comes too quickly during, especially this any eclipse window, really, is usually just provisional. So the real information is going to arrive later. Okay, once the dust settles. So this is a very much a liminal space, and liminal spaces are uncontrollable because they don't let us rush through them. Okay, not at all, not by any means. Okay, so let's go ahead and what's significant about this being in the sign of Aquarius here? First off, the late degrees for sure. But Aquarius governs collective systems, certainly not just our personal narratives. It rules how societies organize themselves, how our ideas circulate, how communities form. Um, Another thing that might be important to note is like that it's how power is distributed across networks. And so an eclipse here doesn't just change our personal direction, it's going to change how we relate to the idea of belonging itself. And many people are right now realizing that any sort of groups, ideologies, even communities that we once aligned with might not reflect our values anymore or might not orient with the future. And this can be pretty subtle at first. It'll feel like a feeling of misalignment, a feeling of like some kind of growing distance. Um, for some of us, a sense that we're really outgrowing something that we once believed in deeply. And so Aquarius isn't asking for emotional loyalty. This is more about our integrity. Okay. Let's take a look at the core theme, okay, of this new moon eclipse, solar eclipse, new moon, solar eclipse. um, there's going to be some kind of realignment through disruption. Okay. And disruption, it doesn't always arrive as chaos necessarily. Sometimes it kind of comes in quietly. Um, it comes in as like a quiet inability, certainly where we can't continue pretending. Okay. And so systems that maybe once worked for us, they're going to stop responding. Roles that we've played might really stop making sense to us. Like, why are we here now? Again, there's some sort of disconnect with the values. Um, and even like futures that you might have imagined for yourself could feel really hollow to you. And so this eclipse is really asking a very collective question. Again, Aquarius. What kind of future are we actually trying to build here? And at an individual level, you might be asking yourself, what role do I genuinely want to play in that future? Not the role that looks good, not the role that everybody else expects of you, not the role that keeps peace, even. This is the role that feels true to you. Okay. And so, Aquarius and this collective energy is very important because Aquarius always brings us face to face with the tension between like our individuality and collective identity, right? Where do I belong? Where do I stand apart? And what happens when those answers change? And so this eclipse really reveals where our identity has been shaped by consensus, rather than like our internal truth, and where belonging really requires self censorship, where our participation has come at a cost of our authenticity. I know that's been something that's been coming up a lot in the readings lately, our authenticity. Um, so keep in mind that like freedom under this Aquarius energy, that's not it's not rebellion, okay, necessarily. It's more about the alignment that we're coming into, and alignment sometimes requires stepping away before we are able to really step forward into anything, right? Um, so that's really what I'm seeing as far as the collective energies here. All right, so let's take a look at what this new moon solar eclipse is interrupting for us. This is it's going to interrupt stagnation for sure. Especially especially where anything has disguised itself as stable. Um It will most likely disrupt systems that really continue operating out of our habits rather than it being really relevant to us. Again, this is all linking back to authenticity, right? So it's going to interrupt roles that really persist because they once worked. They once worked for us. It was the thing that we were doing that was sustaining, right? At the time. I feel like there could be some agreements that are exposed that we didn't make consciously. Any sort of interruption here is going to be what it's going to be what's needed. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we're moving through this eclipse season. Um, don't look at it as some kind of destruction. The interruption is going to be more informative, because the system really needs to reveal where the energy is not working. Okay, it's not flowing anymore, and so resistance is really it's not going to stop the interruption, any sort of resistance to this. It's just going to intensify that friction that we're feeling. Okay, so let's look at what this eclipse initiates for us. um it's not going to really announce itself very clearly here. Okay, any sort of initiation that happens under the eclipse might feel a little disorienting. Like we're kind of drifting away from something without knowing what we're really moving toward. um like we're standing between timelines, and that can feel again disorienting. And so this eclipse is going to initiate a long-term redirection for the collective, but also for us as an individual. um and redirection doesn't always feel empowering at first, does it? It can feel really uncertain. It can feel kind of empty, like you're in the void. It can feel really unstructured. Um, and for my fixed signs that are going to be impacted quite a bit by this, certainly it's going to feel destabilizing. Um, but just try not to equate that emptiness that we might be feeling, or that void, to some kind of absence. um, just just recognize that there's something here that's space is being made for, is a way to put that. Okay, let's look at the timing of this eclipse. Timing is really interesting. um so of course eclipses don't necessarily work on our human urgency, right? They're going to work on an more of a evolutionary timing. And so you might notice some changes immediately, but understanding those changes are going to be something that really unfolds slowly over time, over months, really. 6 months to a year is how long we work with these eclipses. But if you I bet you anything you've been working with that Virgo eclipse, that we had last year up to this point. And that Virgo eclipse is really about, well, how do I take care of myself, and make sure that I'm taking care of everything, and making sure that things are organized and getting all those things in order, but also caring for myself and not being self-critical. And so these are the things that have been highlighted for the last 6 months for us. Um, but with this eclipse, your psyche is going to need time to integrate this new orientation. And so that's why your patience is going to be essential here. And trying to force any sort of clarity during this eclipse window is going to usually lead to some kind of more than anything, a misalignment for you. So just patience is going to be very important. And sometimes patience is not our strong suit, right? So let time do part of the work for you. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the world stage. This is something that I've included here because I feel like it's extremely important to name this right now with everything that we're seeing. Okay. This is an important one because Aquarius eclipses really correlate with stress on systems that organize society. You might notice that like governance, certainly the government, okay, technology, networks, electricity, collective agreements that we've had are going to come under pressure. And with Pluto in Aquarius, this pressure is going to become very transformative for us. Power dynamics are going to really be exposed. You're already seeing this. Authority structures being questioned. Systems that can't adapt are going to start to fracture. I want to make a note that this is not prediction. Okay, this is more about a pattern recognition. And so history shows that Aquarius eclipses coincide with periods of systematic reevaluation. And so what no longer serves the collective evolution cannot remain intact here. So again, I'll read what I have on the slide here. You could see sudden shifts or pressure points with governments, institutions, or collective systems, public challenges to authority, leadership, legitimacy, or centralized control, rapid changes in technology, communication platforms, or information flow. By the way, we're going to be moving into, actually, I think as of the 16th of, let me just double check that. I think as of the 16th, we are in a pre-shadow for, let me see. Is it the 16th? Hold on. No, the 11th. We're already in the pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde. Okay? Which is in Pisces, which is going to be interesting. But collective movements emphasizing reform, decentralization, or redistribution of power. And then with the solar eclipse involved, you can expect developments that unfold quickly but reveal long building systematic tension. Events that disrupt status quo rather than reinforce it, and increased visibility of where existing systems no longer function as intended. Again, I feel like we're already seeing some of this transpiring here. Okay, on an individual level here, all right, this eclipse is going to work quietly in your lives, but relentlessly, if you will. You might realize that certain identities that you've worn up to this point aren't accurate for you anymore. They're not your truth anymore. And you could notice that certain communities don't really reflect who you're becoming, those groups or environments that you are part of. Again, this is something that we've been seeing going on in the collective. This could also be where like you're noticing that the future is really pulling you in a direction that feels unfamiliar, but it's very persistent. And so just keep in mind, if you feel this need to detach, just know that serves its purpose right now. It is not really a withdrawal. It's so that you can recalibrate. So if you're feeling that, allow yourself that space and time to do that, okay? This eclipse in particular is going to ask you to trust that internal shift before any sort of external validation is going to show up for you, okay? Let's talk about Aquarius and detachment because, woo, Aquarius is good at that. This is going to help, create perspective. That detachment, again, this withdrawal, is really going to allow the truth to come up to the surface. And that's without like the emotional distortion that can come into the picture, like our emotions getting in the way, right? Our emotions fluctuating. Just know that, again, detaching, and Aquarius is, again, really good at sitting outside of those emotions and analyzing them. It's not that they're not there. It's not that they're not felt, but Aquarius is just really good at feeling them. So pay attention to the emotions that come up, but don't let the emotions interfere in this perspective that you're gaining. The eclipse is really going to support stepping back, especially from any kind of reactions so that our insight can emerge. This is certainly not rushing, bringing what we've discovered to the surface here. So the clarity is going to require some space. And so just allow yourself that time and space without beating yourself up or feeling like you need to be productive or whatever. Give yourself that space. Okay. Be patient with yourself. It's going to be important to observe because patterns are going to reveal themselves to us. Okay. All right. So Pluto is in is in the mix. Woo. Pluto and Aquarius, that marks a generational restructuring of power. It's gonna mark a restructuring of influence of people in position of authority or just authority in our own lives, what we allow to have authority in our lives. And so this eclipse in particular is really going to accelerate that process. And you'll notice that Pluto dismantles anything that's lacking integrity, even within ourselves. So it's going to expose what has been operating really beneath the surface, what's been in the shadows, what's been done in secret. Even again, this is something that we're seeing. So systems that are built on our image instead of truth. Okay, our truth, our inner truth, that's not going to survive. It's not going to survive that plutonium pressure. So this is about evolution. Aquarius's forte. It's just going to be difficult for some people to navigate this initially until we have some clarity. So it's not necessarily personal because this evolution is for the collective. That is the purpose. Okay, so let's talk about those that are most going to be impacted by this. Certainly our fixed signs. Okay, so Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio. You're going to feel this the most because fixed energy loves to resist change by nature. But those placements in particular, you're going to experience this pressure to evolve. Do not entrench yourself, okay? Because the identity that you're stepping into is going to really become non-negotiable for you. And so anyone that's leaving old affiliations, you're right on track. Anybody that's questioning long-held beliefs that you've had, you are right on track. If you've been feeling pulled toward like an unfamiliar future, that's because you're already inside of this eclipse field. Again, you are right on track, okay? So we're going to step into these elements, of course, here. Let's take a look at fire signs. Okay. Fire signs, especially for Leo, okay? You're going to be integrating some energy here. Fire is used to movement. It's used to initiating. It's used to expression, right? So, excuse me. I want to say you're used to momentum being rewarded, but this eclipse is really going to expose something subtler for you. Whether your movement is like still aligned with truth for you, whether it has become more reflexive, whether you are acting because something has potential or because like if you stop something that you're doing, it could force you to feel something that you've been avoiding. So pay attention to that, please, fire signs. This is a big deal. Aries too. Okay, Aries. We have a lot of these outer planets that are moving into the sign of Aries. Matter of fact, here, as I'm recording this tomorrow, Saturn shifts into Aries. Neptune is already there. We have a lot of planets that are shifting into the sign. So Aries. You're going to be feeling this too. I mean, Sag you will, but I feel like on a lesser note here. So around this time with this eclipse, okay, and this new moon, fire signs, you might feel this unfamiliar friction start coming up for you, okay? Just know that that's not a block. It's more of like a resistance that's going to appear when you try to move in ways that used to work for you. That's going to be some information for you that you were going to want to grab a hold of, okay? Because the eclipse is showing you where your identity has been fused with the action itself. And so there's a bit of a reckoning here around leadership and visibility for you guys. Not all leadership is meant to be, external necessarily. It's not necessarily meant to be seen, right? Um, that doesn't make it wrong if it is, but I'm just saying, like, this is not something, okay, Leo specifically, it's not something that necessarily needs to be seen. So some of you are really being asked to step back from any kind of performance and to reclaim that internal authority, to stop like proving yourself, to stop initiating right now or like asserting from because of habit, right? And so ask yourself a bit of a harder question here, like about what is actually worth your energy right now. So, fire signs, you're really going to be learning that power doesn't come from constant motion. It's going to come from this place of discernment within you and from choosing when not to act. Um, this is about like you allowing desire to mature into this energy of devotion, okay, before you act on it. And so this eclipse in particular, this isn't going to extinguish the fire that you have that we all love, but it is going to help to purify it, to refine it for you. Okay. All right, let's take a look at earth signs. Of course, this is our Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Um, for you guys, this eclipse is really going to challenge structures that you have relied on up to this point for safety. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of monetary destabilization with Uranus shifting into Taurus. We've seen some shifts happening with that anyway. You can see the prices of gold and silver. I think Japan had a really good day in the stock market. There's been a few things that I've been paying attention to that have happened that are like right on point for what's going on. So, earth signs, you guys really understand sustainability. You build carefully, you are planners, you know how to stabilize things, but over time, stability can kind of turn into stagnation, especially when like the structures that you've been maintaining, you continue to maintain after they stop supporting any sort of growth for you. So this eclipse might bring a sense of destabilization, okay? Even if like you don't necessarily see anything wrong on the surface, um like the routines still work, the roles are still intact, the responsibilities are still being met, right? But yet something might still feel off for you. It might feel very heavy, might feel constraining, especially for Taurus. Again, fixed energy is being impacted the most here. But what's being exposed here is really going to be the difference between structure that supports life and the structure that limits it, right? So, earth signs, I feel like you're really going to realize that certain commitments or certain identities that you've had or certain systems that you've built for like an earlier version of yourself, they once worked, right? They may even look extremely successful, but they may not really reflect who you are becoming at this point. And so pay attention to where that shows up for you. Um, it's not necessarily that you need to tear everything down, right? But it is about you becoming very honest about what can evolve in your life and what can't or what shouldn't. And so adaption is going to be very relevant here for my earth signs. Okay. You're really being asked to choose living stability versus like being very rigid about security, right? Okay, so let's move on to my air signs, my Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Aquarius, you're the brunt of this, my loves, of course. And so, for air signs in general, this eclipse is going to move through your mind first, but it can't stay there, okay? Air signs, you guys are like often the first to perceive change. Water signs feel it, but you can like pick it up and perceive it and discern that it's coming, right? You notice shifts in conversations, you notice shifts in like ideas, in social dynamics. And you really have a knack for like sensing when the narrative is changing before like other people catch on to it, right? But this eclipse demands something more than your perception in this case. Okay. It's going to ask you whether your understanding is actually shaping how you live. And so you may notice that like conversations feel different for you now. Maybe certain topics aren't of interest to you anymore, or they don't hold any weight anymore. Like they don't matter. This doesn't matter anymore. Certain like explanations that people give you, you might notice kind of fall flat. They don't do any justice to what's being explained. You could feel like less interested in persuading, um, having any sort of debates. Um, I think you're going to be more interested in standing somewhere internally, okay? Somewhere secure internally. And this might feel really uncomfortable for you guys because clarity is going to bring some kind of consequence here. And so once you see this clearly, you're not going to be able to like unsee it, okay? And so for my Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius in particular, just keep in mind that sometimes delay in embodiment is there to keep like your options open. Okay, to keep the you being available for doors that may open for you. So I feel like this eclipse is going to close some kind of loophole for you, or like rather a looping in your mind. And it's going to ask you to really choose some kind of alignment that you know you need want to step toward, or you feel like you want to step toward. And you might not be very flexible about that. So some of you could find that some kind of truth reorganizes your relationships, even those that you network with, or your communities, or even like the way that you communicate with people. So the insight that you have, right, these things that you're perceiving, that's not going to be sufficient anymore. It's going to have to be lived. Okay. So I feel like that's going to be really highlighted for you guys. All right. So for my water signs, my Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, um, again, you feel the eclipse before you feel energies before anybody really, but y- you're going to feel this eclipse before you really understand it. And so emotionally, there could be a sense of like an undercurrent, right? Something shifting under the surface that you can't articulate. And so you might notice that you're feeling more sensitive, maybe more porous. Okay. You might even feel kind of strangely detached from things that had some sort of emotional charge for you in the past. Um, Things that maybe did have you had a strong emotional connection to, you might feel disconnected from. That is certainly okay. I feel like that's extremely normal here in this case. And this eclipse is really going to challenge those emotional attachments to anything that you've been familiar with. Um, it's not that the attachment is wrong, okay, or bad or anything like that. It's about clinging to what once felt safe for you, but that can have the potential to block what wants to emerge next in your life. Okay. And so for my Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, you are really being asked to trust your intuition without letting this spiral into some kind of overwhelm for you. So notice feelings without becoming like submerged in them. Okay, Scorpio, you hear me? Um, this is going to be a very subtle work for you guys. It's going to require your discernment. It's also going to require you not to suppress what's coming up. Okay. So there may be some grief here for some of you, grief for like old identities, grief for like old connections, maybe even dreams that are kind of dissolving for you. So let that grief move through you. Okay. It's not because something like went wrong. This is more about it being a sign that something meaningful is coming into fruition here, is coming into existence. So this eclipse is going to teach my water signs that, you know, emotional truth, our emotional truth, which is our truest identity, right? Is going to be able to coexist with this forward movement that we're going to be getting on that train. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how to work with this eclipse. Um, Certainly not a time to be making any sort of decisions or taking decisive action. Okay. Not in a way that we usually understand it. Um, Eclipses don't really respond well to force, especially this one in Aquarius. Okay. Um, it's going to respond more to us paying attention to what comes up. And so working with this eclipse is going to mean that we need to observe where energy is withdrawing naturally, where we might find like emotional fades coming in, things our emotions fading around things, right? Where you know, paths might feel really difficult to justify, even increasingly difficult. Um, I don't want you to think that the withdrawal that may come with this is like you being lazy at all or any kind of avoidance. Okay. It's actually intelligence here. Because you're giving it space to like show you what it needs to show you. You're giving space, you're pulling back so that you have space for information to come through. Um, and just know like that any sort of release that we might be doing during this time, it doesn't have to be dramatic. Not that you guys are gonna make it dramatic, but just it can be quiet. It often is gonna be quiet in this space here in this window, eclipse window. Okay. You might notice that you're like not explaining yourself. You might notice that you stop investing in things. You might notice, excuse me, you might notice that you stop like maintaining anything that doesn't give anything back to you. But the most important practice here is going to be restraint and again the patience. So let this eclipse do its work without trying to like interfere. That means by taking action or, trying to initiate anything or trying to set intention here with this. Again, this is not a new moon to set intentions with. It's about, it's more about aligning with like our authenticity. Okay. Getting in full alignment. Again, we're not going to have all the answers immediately. Okay. So take your time. But letting the future kind of reveal itself in pieces rather than demanding like we have the full map here. Okay. I want to talk about the long arc of this because I feel like it's extremely important, especially with this collective energy associated with this. Um, it's not this, none of this is meant to resolve quickly. It's not meant to resolve quickly. Okay. Um, there is going to be a long arc that's associated with this that is going to unfold across this entire year of 2026. Okay. And even past that. Um, it's really going to help us reshape how we orient ourselves to the future. And so you might notice that your definition of success changes. Um, what once you had like a motivation for might not motivate you anymore. Okay. I'm seeing that in my own life right now. Um, your relationship to time might change, to ambition might change. Your contributions or how you contribute might feel different or be different. This is just again this recalibration that's really taking place, and so patience here is not a bad thing. It is not a passive thing. Okay, it's the withdrawal that you may experience is not a bad thing here. This is about more about like actively trusting this process and trusting that any sort of absence of the clarity that we want is part of the process. It's not a failure. Okay. It's not a failure of it. All right. So, as in closing, um, we're going to have questions that don't have immediate answers. Okay. You better get down up. You better get down off that counter. Sorry, Amber. Um, I would ask you to really resist seeking any sort of immediate answers. Just sit with whatever honesty you can muster up within yourself about what's going on around you, what's going on within you. Okay. Um, for a lot of us, the future is kind of already calling us. We're already feeling pulled. We just don't know what it looks like. You might notice like what's being dismantled is doesn't feel it's like what is familiar is being dismantled, and so therefore it feels extremely unfamiliar to us, uncharted territory. It may end up being not the future you planned. Okay. Not a future that maybe looks acceptable to us. Um, you might notice that the future is kind of like pressing on you. It's a quiet pressure. There's a quiet persistence there, even when you attempt to ignore it. Okay. Um, you don't have to act on any sort of questions that come up for you. Just notice the question. But once it's been asked, I feel like you're not going to be able to like tuck it away. You're going to want some answers, but again, the answers are going to come over time. Okay. And so that's the initiation of this new moon solar eclipse. Okay. Let's get into the tarot portion of this. All right. Let's see what Here for this Aquarius new moon, not just the new moon, of course, but the solar eclipse as well. This new moon in particular is not going to be about setting any sort of intention. Okay. I'm just picking up that it's going to be more about like stepping into your authenticity more than anything. Are you living authentically? And there might be some changes around that. So let's get into this and let's see what wants to come through. I will pull elements toward the end. Of course, I'll share those with the collective at a later time as we get closer to the new moon. And then we'll pull a crystal, of course, and guidance, all that good stuff. All right, so show me the overall energy, please, of this new moon and eclipse, please, in Aquarius. Okay, we have the Eight of Swords, the overall here. Let's take a look at the challenge that we could face. Judgment. Wow, it's the changes that need to be made. Okay, I feel like this might be about where we've keeping where we've kept ourselves small. And this feels like it is about the change that we need to make in order to get out of that energy. So let's look at, I'm not going to ask about what intention we need to set here. Give me a moment. I'm actually, I'll ask for guidance on that. Where should we focus our energy? Okay, death. It's definitely about change. Okay, definitely about change here. It seems like drastic change. Okay. Can you give me an indication here about what this change looks like? Again, instead of asking about the intention, what does this change look like? Ten of Swords. Something has to end. Something has to go. I'm hearing that for some of you, this is about not competing with something anymore. Can you show me what it is that might be revealed here through this? Ten of Wands. Wow. How something hasn't been doing any favors. Two cards of Scorpio, by the way, Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. And two tens here. I feel like this is about releasing something that's kept you the same, or that you've been kind of putting yourself inside of a box when you're like overflowing out of the box here. Okay. So let's go back to this Eight of Swords. Show me this Eight of Swords. What is this Eight of Swords? The overall energy with this new moon and this eclipse, please. Okay. Knight of Cups. Yeah, this is about like authentic direction, I feel here with this Knight of Cups. Okay, we have the Nine of Swords. I'm hearing true blue, and we have the Devil. This is a lot of like, well, if I do that, what if this happens if I do this? What if this happens if I say this? This is about you aligning yourself with the action, okay, creating the change by taking the action that feels aligned for you. But I feel like you're more in your head about it, which is keeping you stuck here than anything. Tell me about this Devil. No, tell me about the Nine of Swords first. I just feel like the Knight of Cups is talking about the direction that you feel called toward. Yeah, I heard true blue again. The Four of Pentacles. You've been stopping yourself, or you haven't been initiating something. And it's like eating you from the inside here. Yeah, okay, show me the Devil. We have the Moon. You don't know how something's going to go. It could go well or it could go like bad, but I think you're automatically assuming that something's going to go bad, or something's going to go in like the direction you don't want it to go. But I'm actually seeing this is more of a positive direction here. Okay. Something that should be celebrated. There's you're reconciling with yourself by acting upon the direction that you feel led toward. You're holding back on whatever this is right now. That's how you're going to know what it is. You're holding yourself back from it. You're not saying it, you're not doing it, you're not initiating it, whatever this is for you. All right, this is something that I feel like you're reserving your energy at the moment in regard to. All right, so let's look at this Judgment then here in the challenge. Again, it seems like there's going to be some kind of change decision. Here's the thing about Judgment. Judgment is we've had some kind of evaluation around something, and this has brought us to a new conclusion. We have a different perspective on it. And because of that, we kind of tend to outgrow whatever it is. And it requires making some sort of decision around it in order to align. And that requires some kind of change. So let's see. Show me Judgment here in the challenge. It might be about saying it or being honest with yourself about something. It could be about being honest with how you feel. It could be about recognizing what your emotions are trying to tell you, the truth, the message that's trying to come through with how you feel. Mhm. Okay, we have the High Priestess and we have the Queen of Pentacles. For a lot of you, I think this may have something to do about um, either how you're managing something. It could be how you're managing yourself or how you're taking care of yourself here or not taking care of yourself. That maybe your emotion impacting this. Okay, again, Scorpio, Pisces energy here. Okay, and the Ace of Wands. I think there's something here that you might desire to start. Page of Pentacles. I think there's something here that you might desire to start or initiate, but I feel like that might be where you're holding yourself back here. Or you're stopping yourself. Tell me about this Knight of Swords and this King of Cups. Strength. Yeah, you're stopping yourself. You're holding back something. It's something about speaking or acting, initiating something here that is going to initiate some kind of change. It means that there is a change that's going to happen if we do this, if we say this, if we act on this. And it's going to require some strength. I feel like the first things first is that I'm telling you, there's something about your intuition trying to speak to you about starting to address something. Again, how you're managing something or how you might be caring for yourself. Could be management of finances. It could be even parenting, how you run your home, how you're living in some way. It could be about where your priorities are or um, where your priorities are or where your values have been aligning. That might be something that's being like readjusted. Okay, let's look at this. We'll look at this 10 of swords then here. Show me this 10 of swords. What exactly needs to change here? We have this, some kind of ending needs to happen. Okay, we have the Queen of Wands. Justice. Yeah, this is like in spite of some kind of drama that may come up, how someone might react. This is the right thing to do. Okay. We have the Two of Cups here. This might mean that a partnership or a relationship or some kind of connection needs to end here. Just seeing Temperance underneath the deck. Tell me more about this Two of Cups. It's something that is Page of Wands. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. Let me see. Yeah, there's something that needs to be said. There's something that needs to be said. There's something that needs to be spoken on here. And I'm telling you, it's about speaking your truth. I feel like to someone, again, you might be you might be a little concerned about like disrupting the status quo or creating some kind of imbalance in a situation or with a person. But it looks like you initiating this is something that is meant to end. That is the change that needs to happen. Again, it's something that you're holding back on. So you're not actually living according to your truth just yet until you do act on this or you say this or you initiate this. You have a desire, I feel, for a specific path. Again, I think that there could be some kind of fears about the outcome of this. Show me death, where our focus needs to go here. What is this death energy? Where our focus needs to be. Yeah. 9 of Wands. Creating the change, even though something may hurt. There's the Fool. Hurt you. It's not hurting you. I feel like you're hurting yourself by staying connected. It actually feels like this is about, you know, having to hurt somebody's feelings maybe. Okay. So again, the Fool, and it's by like going down some sort of new path. Yeah, look, it's something change that is going to hurt, but the hurt is what is going to be a catalyst. 10 of Pentacles. I feel like whatever this is, Knight of Pentacles, there's a lot of growth potential. this is the right move. I feel like this is, yeah, look at that, the tower. This is the right move here. Even if somebody is hurt by it, I don't feel like that's necessarily, like, your problem. It doesn't feel like it's a you issue. It feels like you're doing something that you feel like, "This is who I am, and this is who I'm stepping into. This is who, I have discovered I am, and so I need to make this change. I need to make this shift." And I feel like it's right for you. I feel like you feel like it's a very good shift, okay? I feel like you feel like it's a good thing. Somebody else may feel like this is a very impulsive or immature, thing that you're doing here, but that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing you feel the pressure to make some sort of change because it feels aligned for you, because it like, your transformation and success and stability to kinda depend on it. There's something here that is not stable about what you could be connected with right now. There could be something about the number 9 I'm getting. Your desire to not hurt someone or someone's could play a heavy role in, you not taking the action just yet. This is like, you're gonna do something, but you haven't spoken on it yet, and you because not because, but the reaction you're gonna get. It's not gonna be a good one. Um, but I feel like you're doing the right thing. You're laying the groundwork, or you're wanting to lay the groundwork for something here that's going to be, successful long term. It's something that you're gonna be committed to long term is what I'm picking up. Can you give me a little more about that? Okay, we have the Hangman. You may have thought there was some kind of a, yeah, yep, that's exactly it. You may have thought that there was something here that was like a bit of a illusion, but I feel like you're discovering that it's not. I feel like you're actually healing this energy of stagnation, first off. But also, I think that you might be discovering that something's not an illusion at all. It's certainly possible. I think you're having to contend with somebody else's emotions and feelings around this. That could be like it could be a group of people. It could be family, friends, your church group, whatever. Okay. Um, there's some kind of fear around about this, speaking on this, bringing it up, initiating it really with this communication that I'm seeing needs to happen. It does feel like speaking truth or communication or how we feel about something, and I'm seeing that that's being held back right now, that's being withheld. It's like, what you're gonna do, but you're not telling anybody yet. For good reason, I see, for good reason, but I feel like that by saying this, doing this, initiating this, it's going to start the ball rolling on something, and initially, it's not gonna be pretty. So, I feel like you wanna have yourself set up. So, I feel like working toward that is something that you can focus on here with this new moon energy. It's more about you focusing on stepping into your authenticity and then living according to that authenticity than it is about you, initiating anything with this new moon, okay? Even though initiating along with, as long as it is authentic, I feel like that would be okay. Um, I think the illusion was thinking that something wasn't for you, that you weren't capable, or that something was a pipe dream, or, something that's not feasible right now because of this, but I think you're actually discovering that it's this that's keeping you from that, that's making something not possible, or it feels more difficult being involved with a certain thing, okay? It is actually something that can be achieved, it's not a pipe dream. It's something that you can take actionable steps, and something that you can be very, you can make good decisions around now in order to get to this point. It is possible. I think you're healing something in regard to illusion. Where you thought something was an illusion, it's actually another, yeah, look, somebody's emotions are gonna I feel like somebody's gonna blow up emotionally. I feel like this is like an emotional volcano here. Queen of Swords, Seven of Swords. Somebody could say, "You lied to me." They could think that you've lied to them. Give me 1 second. Yeah, Five of Wands in the Chariot. Somebody could say something like, "Just go," or there could be some sort of altercation, or, obstinance I'm getting. toward your movement forward. Okay. I think you already know to kind of anticipate that. So let's look at the 10 of Wands. Show me this 10 of Wands. What is the 10 of Wands? What's going to be revealed here? Yeah, I'm telling you how there's something about a decision that needs to be made here. Again, this initiates this big change. That not making it is keeping you out of alignment. So I feel like that's going to be something that's revealed. I mean, I think we're seeing that in this reading anyway. 6 of Wands and the 7 of Swords. Yeah, this could be somebody's ego getting in the way here. Show me the 6 of Wands, please. Show me the 6 of Wands. The 4 of Wands. I feel like somebody's kind of blaming you for something here. Okay, with the 7 of Swords, this makes me feel like somebody's saying like, "Oh, you're just running from your responsibilities, or you're you're doing the wrong thing here. You're impacting the house or the home negatively, or you're uprooting or you're destabilizing anything that has had an anchor. Like there's something about creating destabilization. Um I feel like you're recognizing here that this thing that you're interacting with, this person that you're interacting with, this environment is actually the problem. It's not the thing that you're setting out to do here. I feel like there's some sort of like cloudy lens that's being removed from your vision as well. This is something that you feel like you need to do because it's true and authentic for you, and that's why you need to do it, not because you're trying to upset anybody or you're trying to disrupt anything or cause instability, right? It's actually the thing again that you're interacting with that's creating the instability here. Yeah. I think somebody may point the finger again and say like that you lied to them, or that they could even say that this is like your ego. I think the truth about what you're dealing with is coming out. Tell me about the Lovers. Ace of Pentacles. 8 of Wands. Somebody could say, you're choosing this over me, or you're choosing that over this kind of thing. And I feel like someone, but I feel like they might be projecting that or saying that like this is your ego. That's not what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing that it's your ego. I see that you're actually aligning with your authenticity. You're aligning with something that feels true to you, and somebody is threatened by that because they're not doing it. You see what I'm saying? But it's kept you in like this restriction. You've been restricting yourself because of it, making yourself smaller. I think somebody knows that this is like you outgrowing something, and they feel like they are impacted, and maybe they truly are impacted, but it really boils down to like the ego being inflamed. Um, I feel like what somebody says to you, or what somebody says to you is not going to be very nice. It may really be something that pushes your buttons though, but this is about you honoring that truth and knowing that some sort of change really needs to happen here. And I think this whole experience with whoever, whatever this is really going to reveal that to you. Okay. Um, all right. I want to pull for let's get some guidance here first off. Give me okay, let's use the dream, not the dream song oracle, the shaman's dream oracle. I'll get some guidance. We'll pull a crystal and then we will break it down into each element, okay? All right, let's see here. What is the guidance, advice, reminders, clarity, confirmation, please? Obstacles, the wall. Wow. This is what's stopping you here. I'm seeing Spirit of the River, movement toward adventure here underneath the deck. I think that is relevant. Let's look at the wall. 6 days, 6 weeks could be relevant as well. 56. Okay. Obstacles, being inconvenienced by life, detours, and non-action. There are moments in your life when you are so geared up, so sure that you are on track with such drive and momentum that you are shocked and confused when you encounter a wall. This unpredictability occurs outside your ability to plan, regardless of if you've done everything right in alignment with the divine. It's imperative that you change your attitude now. This temporary roadblock is not an obstacle to blast through. This is not an invitation to push harder, cancel other plans, or worry about who will win or lose. This is a stopping point to enable you to slow down and contemplate the part of the manifesting equation that you and everyone else forgets. Life on life's terms will override your best laid plans. Yes, inconvenient as it may seem, this experience is an important reminder that you are a human being, not a human doing. Perhaps you're being reminded of your mortality or that you are but a small part of a bigger universe where your destiny intersects with others. Your life may be meant to serve another purpose at this moment, which is what I feel like you're trying to move toward, what you feel like is aligned for you, and your attention meant to be directed elsewhere. Consider that this place of temporary non action you're holding back right now is exactly meant to be for you. Perhaps it's because all you desire and have set in motion needs time to coalesce into form on the other side. Could it be that all elements are not yet in place for this manifestation to be for the highest good of all? Patience is required now, and the wisdom that this might be a great time to take a break and contemplate gratitude. What is truly yours will never be walled off from you. I also think that this could be about somebody trying to stop you from something that you know is meant for you, that you know you're supposed to be doing. Okay. All right. So let me move this. We'll leave that there. And let's get a crystal here. Let's pull a crystal for that can best help support you during this. It's that one right here. Best help support you during this. Oh, interesting. I believe that is snow jasper. Snowflake jasper. My apologies. All right. This is a really great stone for grounding and stabilization. Obsidian. I'm sorry, not jasper. Snowflake obsidian. Thank you. Is considered a grounding stone. It helps anchor awareness back into the body and present moment when you're processing heavy material, emotional release, or deep introspection. You can use it when emotions feel chaotic, your identity is shifting, which is what I'm seeing here, or you're moving through some sort of collapse cycle or rebuilding cycle. It's more stabilizing rather than amplifying. It's great for shadow integration and pattern recognition. It is actually one of its core signatures, bringing unconscious patterns to light, seeing behavioral loops clearly, and integrating rather than rejecting shadow aspects. So, this could help you really identify, like, maybe why you connected with this to begin with. And then it says it's great for trauma processing, karmic loops, identity shedding. Again, feels very relevant here in this case, and inner narrative rewrites. It's also great for emotional detox and release, dissolving resentment or stored emotional density, releasing guilt or shame attachment, softening rigid emotional defenses. It helps with gentle clearing rather than cathartic purges. It helps you with clearer thinking during stress, improved decision making, less reactive emotional spiraling, and it can really light up the shadow within, create harmony between polarities, which is something I'm seeing here as well. It can also allow for the acceptance of wholeness. It's great for transformational periods. Again, something that we're seeing here: identity evolution and spiritual recalibration. Let's see here. Anything else? No, I feel like that covers that. Okay. So snowflake obsidian. Beautiful. All right. Looks like it's going to be something that can really assist here through this eclipse and this new moon. So we'll set this off to the side, and I'm actually going to use the tea leaves, I think, for the elements here. So let's start with air. That would be Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, please, through this new moon and solar eclipse here. Can you show me? Okay, we have pin, new job or career. Okay, so something it feels like maybe about your career is going to be shifting. Let me get my rider weight here. Okay, not that one. Not that one either. All right. Apologies. Okay. Show me about this new job career for my air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, please. Show me for Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, please. All right. Yeah, I feel like this could be some kind of partnership, or you could be uniting with a person here, even romantically, certainly romantically. That this feels more about a new role. So you could be aligning with something here that really feels that you feel. Look at this. This is about a connection. I feel like there could be something about a role you're playing here. This could be that a connection with a relationship that's coming in for you. It is something that is aligned for you, okay? Or again, could be partnership. You could be partnering with somebody. This is an alignment. It feels like something that like makes your heart smile. If this is like a romantic partnership, you could be taking on a different role or stepping into a new career because of the partnership. And there's the hangman. This feels like this is going to be happening in Pisces season for you. So I would say, um, if something is falling apart with your work, there could be a good reason for that. This could also be about you meeting a person that is in alignment for you romantically or otherwise. Okay. It could be a friendship. Tell me, is this, I just feel like this is love, but I'm seeing the Three of Cups here. Yep, excuse me, I didn't mean to bump the table. I don't know if y'all saw that, but um this is coming together with something that's in alignment for you. And again, there could be this could change things for you. Either your job changes first and this is when this comes in, or this comes in and then your job changes. Okay, so I'm seeing a big shift here for you, air signs. All right, excuse me, dog. Let's look at water signs here. Show me Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, please. Cancer, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. What is the overall energy? We have Skull. Hidden secrets can harm you. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Show me for my water signs, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. Okay, oof, Ten of Swords. Okay, Six of Wands. 10 of Cups. I feel like there's more of a secret that comes out that you feel betrayed by. This could have been, this feels like because of someone else's selfishness or someone else wanting to win. The ego has been involved. I don't feel like this is a secret of yours. I feel like this is a secret that's coming out that you're going to feel betrayed by. It could be a family secret. Again, it feels like somebody, this is somebody's ego here. Okay. It was out of selfishness. All right, my loves. Show me for my earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo here. We have fair man. Okay. Feelings or relationship with a man with blonde, gray, or white hair. Can you show me about this? You could be dealing just with a masculine in general. Show me this. Fair man. Let's get another one. Hang on. They're telling me to get another one. Oh, two. Okay. Hold on. Okay. We have deep friendship with someone of the same sex. Okay. Someone will gossip about your secrets. Okay. There could be somebody here that you're coming in contact with that's meant to be in your life, but there could be people that try to sabotage this with, you know, telling them things about you, this kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, I feel like this is somebody you're connecting with. It looks like through work. We have death. Eight of Pentacles, death here. We have the Tower. Yeah, you're dealing with a masculine energy here, I'm seeing. Whether you're male or female, you're dealing with a masculine energy here. I feel like something comes out about someone or something comes out about you. It may not be like, it just may be like, why did you tell somebody my personal business? It could just be something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything like crazy, okay? And I feel like it might be impacting like a friendship, or it might be impacting a partnership. It could be, you know, creating some sort of issue between you and your boss. It definitely, you're going to notice some sort of change between you and another person. Okay. I feel like this is just like a part one of the story here. I feel like there's going to be a whole thing that plays a whole, excuse me, Teak, Capricorn, Aquarius, Capricorn, Cusper. I feel like there's going to be a whole thing that plays out because of this. Okay. So heads up, pay attention, especially maybe in the work environment. I feel like it's somebody that you could be close to. And I feel like this is secret. So I feel like somebody could be saying something that you would rather keep a secret. And I feel like it's going to impact you somehow. Okay. All right. Show me for my fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sag. Just keep in mind, like, if that does happen, it's directing you into the right path. Okay. Show me for my fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, please. Okay. Wait. All right. Cracked cup, dissatisfaction with life. I feel like you're not aligned with something anymore. And I feel like you haven't taken the action to change it. This new moon's going to help you step into that authenticity, or to at least acknowledge that authenticity. Okay, you have the Four of Swords. I feel like you're doing maybe some reflection. You might be taking some downtime here. Yeah, I feel like you're realizing that something here is just not cutting it for you anymore. There's the dissatisfaction with that Five of Pentacles. Something's not stable enough. I feel like you're wanting more here. Just be careful something's not like shiny to you. Yeah, I feel like you want more. I feel like you're open to more. I feel like you want to explore more. I feel like there's some curiosity for more than whatever it is that you're experiencing right now. Okay. My loves, I'm going to leave this here. Let's get it to you. I'll see you in the next one.